listening to TV Ate My Dinner. This is a special versus edition of Dolph versus Arnold, or as I like to say it, Dolph and Arnold separated at birth.
Dolph Lundgren and Arnold Schwarzenegger, in case that's not completely obvious to everyone out there.
In case, if you have to be told that, then maybe you should sit this one out, because we're deep in Dolph land.
If you're not a big Dolph fan, that's understandable, but you've got to at least be familiar with the Arnold movies, or you're going to be completely lost, and it's just going to be us rambling on.
But if you're not a fan of Dolph, you lose that opportunity to be called a dolphin.
Yeah.
If you're not a card-carrying dolphin.
Well, if you're not a dolphin now, maybe you will be by the end of the episode. So we're trying to do you a favor, Dolph, if you're listening.
Yeah.
Not that you need a favor. I don't want to get him mad. He's a big dude. Don't get me wrong.
He's huge. I think in a real fight, definitely him versus Arnold. He'd take that one home.
He's He-Man.
He's totally He-Man, but Arnold was Conan and Hercules, so.
I don't know. He-Man has a magic sword. Hercules is a god, though. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
and he's also a Terminator, which was indestructible. So
we'll go into
call.
some of the finer. We'll contrast some of the finer points of their careers, but yeah, there's an argument to be made on either side.
Well, before we get into it, I've got something on my chest I just want to get off. You know how it is. It's a pet peeve.
Pet peeves.
What would that be, Brooks?
Okay, last night I was watching this movie called Blood and Chocolate. Have you heard of that?
I have seen that movie.
You have seen the movie?
Agnes Bruckner. I like Agnes Bruckner. A pet peeve of mine is how I like her, but she's never in good movies.
Is that I guess that's the main girl in the movie?
The main girl.
Yeah, well then you'll know what I'm talking about.
Also does not get naked in the movie for a movie that's all like werewolfy and trying to be erotic.
PG-13. I knew going into it I wasn't going to get anything good, but
another pet peeve, the PG-13 horror movie.
We'll save that for another night. But this is one that, man, every time there's a vampire movie or a werewolf movie, it drives me nuts. There's always a scene that seems completely unnecessary where they show a club. And it's like a hidden dance club that no one knows about in some kind of back alley. You have to lift up a brick and push a secret button to get inside. And then once you're inside, there's like 500 vampires in it, or werewolves. In this particular case, it was werewolves, but it's usually vampires. And they're all just writhing to this weird techno band. And even though there's a band on stage and they don't look like they're playing any actual instruments, and the beat's just, it's just pure techno music, and they're all writhing together. And then somehow or another, a couple human mortal types end up inside, and they don't know what's going on.
Just wander in
and then
unawares.
Even though it's a secret club. And then at one point, they all decide, okay, it's feasting time, and they just launch into these mortals and rip them to pieces. And this is what they do all the time. I'm so tired of seeing this in movies. It's in Blade. It's in that one I saw last night. Think of some other vampire movies that have done this.
There's a lot of low-grade vampire
Underworld,
movies
I think, does this.
Underworld has that same kind of thing. I think at the heart of it, what bothers me, and all monster movies have gone this way, and it's really annoying to me, which is they all treat these classic movie monsters like they're some kind of ancient race and or cult that's kind of cool and gothic and misunderstood. It's like, what was wrong with them just being monsters and then they have to get killed because they're awful? Like, that's a movie. All this like crying about like how they're persecuted and no one understands what it's like to be a werewolf. It's like you're taking all the cool. The movies where you were a werewolf and just 3 times a month you would just turn into a howling maniac, they sell the case for being a werewolf better than these movies do.
But it's also like they make it out like it's not just you're part of this ancient society, but it's a lifestyle. Like you have to wear leather pants and go into this place with strobe lights. Like why, if you were a vampire, why are you naturally Euro trash no matter where you're from?
You have to like lame things. Like, where are the rock and roll vampires, the rock and roll werewolves? Why are they all listening to terrible bands just once? Is it because the people that make these movies, either because they like this kind of music or because it's the only kind they could afford to put in the soundtrack?
Well, that's the feeling I get. But they do this in, I think the Vampire Lestat does this. They do this in all these, like the Queen of the Damned, I think, does this too. There's always like vampire bars that are just, I guess, all over the place. And you can't get in unless you're somehow a mortal that's going to get eaten.
Yeah, an Interview with a Vampire had a vampire theater where all of the players were vampires, but no one knew it.
Yeah, that's right.
They do that in movies all the time too, where there's an actual monster going on, but everyone thinks it's fake, and they all start clapping. Like
Yeah.
if you were watching a show, like because you have this Chris Angel show on A&E, the Mind Freak. He walks up,
Yeah.
he tells people that he is a magician. There are TV cameras there and everything, and then he just does some weird thing, and everyone loses their minds and runs off screaming, and they're in the middle of Vegas. So where are these jaded people that go somewhere and they see you get like your head chopped off or something, and they're just like, oh, good, that's a great part of the show. But these people, someone walks up and says, I am a magician. This is fake. I'm clearly making a TV show. And everyone just freaks out.
Well, maybe he's not fake.
Maybe he's
Mind
real,
freak!
which would be even worse, because what a hellacious waste of magical powers that would be. What a way to just let yourself go, that you were born with this superhuman gift, and you just use it to freak people out and get girls. That's why I think there would never be real superheroes in real life, because I think that's the way it would play out. Like, I'm just gonna go get famous and get chicks.
Well, at any rate, I really, if you're listening, Hollywood, and I know you probably aren't, but if you're listening, please, when you're writing a vampire movie, make them do something else with their free time. It's in that Blood and Chocolate movie, she goes to that place like 4 times in the movie, this bar. So you get a feeling every night they go to this bar and they hang out with all the other werewolves.
And the whole
I don't
time
go
she
to
talks about
bars.
how she doesn't like that lifestyle.
Yeah, go to a movie.
I don't
join a book club.
Sit there with a copy of Walt Whitman in the corner reading, going, I'm so put upon to be here. Like, she was that annoying. Even as a werewolf, she was annoying. I don't know why she can't be in good movies. That movie did do a cool thing that I did like, that followed one of your rules, where when the scene where the comic book writer guy who's like accidentally falls in with the werewolf crowd, when they're threatening to get him, like, he doesn't let them belt the threats out. That's the only thing I like about it, where the scene where the guy's like, if you don't leave by tomorrow, I'm gonna, he just headbutts him. And then the next thing you know, it's like Die Hard, but with werewolves. That guy like becomes instant MacGyver. I was like, these are cool elements of this movie. Why isn't this movie cooler? Because this is what makes the movie work for me. And then in between, they do all this annoying, just the exact stuff you're talking about. What drags the movie down deep into the mythos of these lame werewolves. It's like, man, I wouldn't want to hang out with you guys.
They do that in they do that in Underworld. They do that in all the movies where they're like, and also Queen of the Damned too. They do that in all the movies where they want to talk about their race, like our history. We have been persecuted by mortals for thousands of years, and we survive because we have a code.
Mm-hmm. Our code is to run around the subway shooting at each other just wantonly.
We survive because we're such premium dancers.
Yeah, that's exactly. Why is it always Dieter from Sprockets who ends up joining the vampire clan? Never someone cool.
Always. I watched like Blade 3 was on TV last night. Oh, I don't want to get into the pet peeve too much with this, but same thing, man. Blade 3, they somehow resurrect the original vampire, Dracula or whatever.
Who in real life, that actor is blessed because he pops up in everything.
What really bothered me about
Dominic Purcell is his name, by the way.
He's a guy from hundreds or thousands, I don't remember, ancient times. They awaken him in modern times, and it's all of like 3 minutes into the movie before he's wearing a mesh shirt and leather pants. I'm like,
Exactly.
I don't even know, honestly, if I had to go out right now and buy a mesh shirt, I'm not sure I'd know how to do it.
I'm not gonna lie to you
Hot
guys.
Topic, I guess.
I was a nerd 10,000 years ago too. You think everybody's wearing capes and cowls back in ancient Transylvania? No, that's why that look is all me, man. I was a trendsetter back then. I'm a trendsetter now.
Yeah. And we used to go to clubs then too.
Yeah, listen to
And
the
they had
lame
little
music of the time.
string quartet, dun 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 dun, going on. They just love the dance. But I can't. It's not scary when you see the original vampire and he's wearing a mesh shirt and leather pants and he's got mascara on all of a sudden. Like, what is going on?
That's what. Just to delve just briefly into Harry Potter. That's one thing I'll give him in the new Harry Potter movie is when the guy comes out, he's wearing like a cloak or something. But then later on, they cut to him and he's in the city and he's wearing a big fancy suit. So like, I see that. Well, this is a guy that's got a little class. He's not going to wander around in the robe forever. Now that he's in the city, he's going to dress like he's in the city.
Yeah, because that's no good.
Yeah, you're not riding through town on a horse. You're going to get a nice car.
I love Blade, but are you going to be able to really defend and tell me that huge, heavy leather black trench coat that he wears with the 5 layers of leather clothes underneath it are really facilitating his fighting ability in some way? Seems
Blade.
like that would so get in the way. That coat's got to weigh 10 pounds.
Well, I like Blade also, but I gotta say that is the one thing that's truly annoying about Blade, the character, is that when they say he's half vampire, it's like that must be where it all comes from. Just the terrible fashion sense is in his
The
vampire
fashion
blood.
half is vampire. The
We're like
rest of
all
it's
of our
human.
strengths and none of our weaknesses. Well, not to put too fine a point on it, but I think you did pick up at least one. Your tragic, your tragic choice of clothing had to come from the vampire side.
I'm going to go ahead and tie this into this current pet peeve. Here's an additional pet peeve. I'm sorry, folks, but this is a short one. But Blade does this, and so several other vampire kind of movies do too. But I really don't like the scene that always happens where he comes in. There's like 15 guards that surround him, and then he's like, "All right," and techno music kicks in, and he starts kung fu fighting. And even though they all have swords and guns, they're all just gonna fist kung fu fight each other
That's
to the
action
techno
movies
beat.
in general. It's like, and try this out in real life, but only if you just feel you're definitely going to die anyway. Like if someone comes at you in a gun, just take a karate stance and see, because according to movies, that person is instantly going to drop the gun and want to karate fight you. It's somewhere in our DNA. We can't wait to get in a karate fight. He's not going to turn
Especially if
that
you give
down.
them that little, like your 2 fingers and just wave them forward,
Yeah,
kind of like,
the little
let's go.
"Hoo-ah," and the little come here, the little karate come hither.
Oh, okay.
No one can
I'm
resist
done.
it.
I've gotten it off my chest. I feel better now.
Well, that's cool. I guess we can move on to
Oh no, I think I hear vampires.
maybe that's the tip. If vampires are ever coming at you, just do a little of that. Just
They just can't start dancing. They can't stop.
and then get the hell out of there. That might be all it takes. But no one's ever tried it.
And they don't even dance in like a cool way. They're always doing this weird interpretive
No, it's
dance
that
where they're
weird
just kind of
goth
writhing
dancing
in slow
stuff.
motion. Yeah.
It's
Like a
horrible.
little South Park kid who just kind of holds a cigarette and looks one way, then looks the other.
That's another criticism I have of Blade, the character, too, is he's got that goth thing where it's like, Blade, if you would run, you'd save more lives. It's like vampires are tearing through like just crowds of babies, and here we cut to Blade, and he's just strolling down the hall because he knows when I get there, I'm gonna kick some ass. But it's like, hurry up!
I'm too cool to run.
It's not
Like,
about
you
to
can't
happen.
run in this trench coat. This
Yeah.
thing weighs 10 pounds.
Yeah, I'm wearing 90 pounds of leather, man. I would sweat myself to death if I had to
Leather
run.
pants are not very pliable. I don't know if you've
Yeah.
ever worn leather pants. You probably have.
There's been some chafage.
Not me, but
I don't. Yeah, I have not wearing leather pants. There's an episode of Friends that warns against it,
yeah.
and I take
That's
that to
good.
heart.
Maybe one day we'll do a show of 10 things you can learn from
Life
friends.
lessons you can learn from Friends. That would be a good one.
I think we should do that. One of them could be don't wear leather pants.
Don't wear leather pants. I guess we'll move on to our movie from the vault. Movies from the vault.
All right, Sean, what is our movie this week?
This week, I'm going to turn my attention to Return to Oz. Now, a lot of people have never heard of this movie. It was made in 1985 by Disney, and it was a pseudo-sequel to the classic film Wizard of Oz, of course, which is a film favorite of Stone Pink Floyd fans with too much time on their hands. Some folks maintain that this movie is closer in spirit to the books than the original, but I have never read them, so I can't say. But it's definitely interesting and arguably weirder introducing a young Firuza Balk as Dorothy, escaping back to Oz after kindly Auntie Em tries to cure her of her flying monkey musings by handing her over to the guy who played Merlin in Excalibur and the lady who played Bavmorda in Willow, and they put her through shock therapy.
Yikes.
Yeah, it's
What's
pretty
up,
weird,
Aunt
man.
Dorothy? Yikes. They do that in the book?
I don't, like I said, I haven't read the books, but what people say makes
Auntie Em, not Aunt
this movie
Dorothy.
closer is the look of the characters and the look of the world was fashioned after the original illustrations in the original books. So I don't know
Huh.
story wise if it's really similar or not. To me, it's a lot like if I meet a lot of people who are big fans of stuff like The Never Ending Story or Labyrinth or movies like that, and it's just like that to me. But I've never met any of those people who have actually seen this movie. And taken
Yeah.
outside of the context of the original Wizard of Oz, it's a watchable little movie.
So is this in any way related to The Wiz?
The Wiz? I don't think so.
The Wiz?
I don't believe there's no Diana Ross, no Michael Jackson.
Well, then forget it.
Yeah, it's not even a
Well,
musical. Get
it
out of
sounds
here.
interesting to me, though. I've actually never heard of that. I didn't know that they had done this movie. So it's the Return to Oz.
Return to Oz, and it was
Is
made
it out
by
on
Disney.
DVD, I guess?
Yeah, I Netflixed it. That's how I saw it.
All right, then. Very cool. So let's get on with the, we've kept people waiting long enough, all the
Yeah.
dolphins out there.
All this talk of vampires, and we're cutting people out of some serious Dolph time.
My name is Tarago. I'm a fighter from the Soviet Union. I fight all my life and I never lose. Soon I fight Rocky Balboa and the world will see his defeat. Soon the whole world will know my name.
All right, so let's see. Dolph and Arnold have had, the reason I say that it's more of a separated birth than a versus sort of situation, because their careers have paralleled so much. And it's like Dolph being the less than favored son, where Arnold had all the success. But so I thought it might be a good thing to compare and contrast the types of roles they played and see who comes out on top. And maybe see if Dolph is not getting his due.
Yeah, poor Dolph's always following in the wake of his metaphorical older brother.
It's true.
Arnold. Okay, before we even get started, I'm gonna tell the audience that I do not intend at any point to try to do an Arnold impersonation, because I know everyone's scared that we're gonna do that, because that's what always happens when you can't hear someone talking about Arnold without doing all the Arnold impersonations.
Everyone thinks that's funny. Everyone thinks an accent. My dad used to say, let's see how well you can speak Austrian. You speak German. Go to Austria and try speaking German. This guy speaks fluent English. He's got a little bit of an accent, but he's living in a foreign land speaking a foreign tongue. But I don't know.
So
he does have a funny kind of voice.
That.
So I won't bag the people who do the impressions as much, but we're not there for that. We're not those guys.
All right, so go.
All right, in category...
Do it now. Damn it, I've already broken my law. Already.
What are you waiting for?
I'm such a hypocrite.
Sorry, America. That way, we already got it out of our systems to show people that we couldn't do the Arnold impression anyway.
Yeah.
This mission has been canceled.
I'm giving the orders from now on. I'm gonna teach them all.
As killer cyborgs. In The Terminator, Arnold killed most of the cast of Aliens and cut out his own eyeball. In Universal Soldier, Dolph had to remain refrigerated or he'd go bad, and he got his ass kicked by Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Yeah.
It's probably safe to say in this situation that Arnold takes the cyborg prize.
Yeah, well, I don't know, man, because Arnold gets his ass kicked by Kyle, who was Michael Biehn, is that his name?
Michael Biehn.
And he's just a dude. You know what I mean? Whereas Van Damme is he's a universal soldier.
Yeah, but so is Dolph. Dolph is a universal soldier in the movie, and Dolph in real life, I'm sure, could crush Jean-Claude Van Damme.
I'm just saying that to me, the Terminator got defeated by a wimpier opponent than Dolph did. So I don't think Dolph necessarily came out really bad in that.
I guess, but
in this,
he also came back and he fought like a guy made of liquid metal, and then he fought a girl made of liquid metal. He fought Painkiller Jane.
Yeah, I have a hard time counting Terminator 2 and 3. I know people love Terminator 2, but I don't even like it. And Terminator 3 it's one of those sequels that doesn't count.
I'll allow 2. 2 I can allow, but 3 I cannot abide. I did go see 3. I mean, if it were me, I always imagine the guy coming back in time to the year they made Terminator 3 and trying to stop that.
That's Terminator 4.
That would be the greatest thing ever.
But I was with Terminator 2 up until the point where he starts becoming a father figure to the kid somehow. And at the very end, he's like, "There's one more here,"
Yeah.
and he points at himself, and they're like, "No, this is a killer, scary, horrifying robot."
I know.
And now we're all crying about him.
Well, that's Cameron doing the same thing with that movie, what Romero was doing in Land of the Dead. It's like when you try too hard to humanize it, like it's an unstoppable killing machine. That's what makes it cool. You're trying to humanize it and make us sympathize with it, and then it becomes stupid.
He was so scary in Terminator just because he had no feelings.
And plus,
nothing,
that was
just,
early
just
Arnold.
Pure.
So you didn't really know Arnold that much. So he's just this big, intimidating-looking, crazy dude. Which really, for the movie though, if you were gonna make it, the idea was that they built the Terminators to fit in, to look human. Like, would you have made it look like Arnold Schwarzenegger? Like, jeez. The dog starts
Well.
barking, and a dude like that rolls up. I want to join your camp. No. That's like the wolf. What is the guy, the Simpsons version of Arnold Schwarzenegger?
It's Rainier Wolfcastle, I think.
Anyway, but that's like, that's the character to me coming up. Like, he doesn't exactly blend, in my opinion. Cuts out his eyeball and then just puts on shades. Okay, but moving along.
What's your second name? Hercules what?
As I have told you, I am Hercules, son of Zeus. No man is superior to Hercules.
They've both portrayed mythic heroes in a fashion. In Masters of the Universe, Dolph teams up with Courtney Cox to defend Earth from Skeletor. In Hercules in New York, Arnold fights a man in a bear suit, and his dialogue is overdubbed with another actor's voice. Yeah. So I think we can give this one to Dolph.
It was shot on like 16 millimeter film too.
In a weekend. Now, this was a long time ago, way before he was famous, but you got to find that movie just to see the scene. Bear suits are funny. There's no getting around that. When you get a scene of a guy fighting a dude in a bear suit, that's just pure magic. But I'd say cinematically speaking, though, Dolph takes this one.
Oh, no doubt. Let me paint the picture for the people who are not aware of Hercules in New York. It looks like it's shot on VHS or something. And in this particular scene, he's like riding a carriage through Central Park in New York. And then he witnesses a bear like attacking somebody in Central Park, because that happens all the time.
Well,
I mean, you've probably
from the
seen
zoo.
that
happens.
And then he just instantly leaps down and goes and wrestles the bear. And the bear is, I mean, it's completely obvious that it's a guy in a bear suit.
Because it's not even fighting. It's got like a pugilist stance, like an old style boxer, like from the 20s.
And they're just going at it.
Oh my Lord, it's awesome.
What kind of? I'm a little disappointed in Hercules if he can't take a bear.
No man is superior to Hercules.
I mean, this is a guy that's supposed to. What Hercules does some pretty spectacular things in mythology.
Well,
cleans the stables of whatever, all this crazy stuff. And he can't fight like a bear. It's not even a big bear. This bear's the same height as Arnold, so it's like 6 foot tall bear.
Yeah, which for a bear, that's small. For a man, a man the size of Arnold's pretty big, but I mean, kind of a wussy bear.
Hercules needs no permission. Not on this ship, you don't.
Yeah. There's just so many great lines. The movie makes no sense at all, but it is awesome. If you're a fan of horrible movies.
I haven't seen He-Man. I must
Oh,
confess.
you're missing out now.
Which kind of surprises me because I was a big He-Man fan as a kid. Is it good at all?
It's watchable. It's fun. I mean, it had a decent kind of budget. It wasn't a direct-to-video movie. It actually came out in the theater. I saw that movie in the theater when I was a kid.
Does it have like Beast Man and Merman and all those guys in it?
It has all the main characters. It just happens to take place on Earth. I don't remember Merman.
Man-E faces?
But it has Evil Lynn, and it has it doesn't have Man-E faces in it.
Does it have Ram Man? Because I'm curious how that would translate.
I remember there being a Beast Man. I remember there being one that I think they just made up for the movie that was one of their bounty hunter guys, and there was an Evil Lynn is one of the bad guys in it. And then the movie, almost always, all of it takes place on Earth because they escape to Earth looking for this magical key thing. It's totally Transformers. It's the same exact plot as Transformers.
So, is there not a Tila?
There is a Tila and a Man-at-Arms, and they travel with He-Man. There's not an Orko, but they have sort of a Yoda wizard type named Gwildor, who is sort of the Orko figure.
Strange.
Played by Billy Barty, who was like the world's most famous midget for a while, before that damn CGI came along.
Well, I will check that out.
You should check it out. There's gold in that movie. I'm a big fan of the Masters of the Universe film.
I'll be a dolphin before long.
You will be a dolphin, like the rest of us. As an aside for fans of really bad movies, there are a couple of things coming soon that you should be happy with. For one, both of which I learned from MySpace. One, which is I already emailed you, there will be a Dolomite explosion.
Yeah.
A new Dolomite movie is coming out. And it's real. Like, I sent you that trailer. Did you watch that trailer? It's everything.
I did not watch the trailer yet.
Oh, you should watch it. It's everything you could hope for in a Dolomite movie. It's like he's picking up exactly where he left off.
I'm sick and tired of you motherfucking player haters.
Dolomite is back from Motherland Africa, where he learned his special powers. Back in L.A. with his all-girl kung fu army, that Dolomite explosion.
And then,
but what always made Dolomite so fun to me was that you kind of got a feeling that he didn't mean to make it so bad. that he was really trying? And now is he going with the shtick of it and say, well, I make bad movies, or is he actually still trying?
I don't know. I can never tell with Rudy Ray Moore when he's trying to be funny or when he's trying to be cool and it just turns out to be funny. I think he's still got it when it comes to that. The trailer really does look just like, I mean, he's dressed in more modern clothes, but apparently Dolomite has gone to Africa and he's returned with some kind of magical powers where he can shoot like lightning bolts at people. Like, oh, it's been worth it. We've waited a long time, but it looks like that's going to pay off.
We're getting together for this one.
I know.
This is an event.
I think the movie is actually making a tour of clubs and small like theater houses rather than an actual theatrical release from what I've seen. So that's even better, with just a total cult thing. The other thing is Black Devil Doll from Hell. Apparently, the guy who made that movie only just recently, since he hasn't owned a computer until just recently, only just recently discovered the cult following that movie has and how much people have made off of it bootleg. So he's now releasing it on DVD so he can finally make. He's like, I don't have any money, and I just now found out that all these people have been selling my movie. I didn't even know people liked it.
Oh wow!
So
that is
just
awesome.
Resurfaced, and they're doing their own DVD release of Black Devil Doll from Hell, which definitely is a movie shot on a home video camera.
Oh yeah,
and quite possibly edited on the same home video camera. That's a bunch of one takers in that movie. So that's two for you guys to look out for if you get a chance. But I don't know if Netflix will be seeing those anytime soon, but keep an eye out for Black Devil Doll from Hell and the Dolomite Explosion.
Awesome.
I know. I don't know how else to sell it, people. It's like the Dolph thing. If you don't know what I'm talking about, then I'm not talking to you.
Do yourself a favor and go rent Disco Godfather.
Yeah, and Petey Wheatstraw, the Devil's Son-in-Law. That'll change your whole perspective on things.
Or either of the two Dolomite movies previous.
Yeah, Dolomite 2 is more interesting because it has the fast motion fight scenes, and he strangely has superpowers in that one sort of also. So that's something to watch out for. But to me, for Rudy Ray, it's Disco Godfather, definitely. And then after that, Petey Wheatstraw is the one to watch. But you can't go wrong with Rudy Ray. All right.
I'm gonna kill you.
Good. Do it.
You're a good boy, Tommy. Grow up to be a good man, because if not, I'll be waiting.
All right, Dolph and Arnold have both portrayed
Which one had Ernie Hudson in it? I don't mean to interrupt you.
Now we can't get off Dolomite. Hold on. We'll get back to Dolph.
Maybe we should do an episode about Dolomite.
Oh.
Which one had Ernie Hudson?
That would have been Dolomite 2.
Yeah,
and he's credited as Lewis Hudson in the movie for some reason.
Oddly enough, he changed his name after that. He's like, I think I better go with something else. How about Ernie?
Well, aside from Ghostbusters, I think he could have kept it. I mean, after Congo and The Substitute, I think changing your name was
you didn't like his portrayal in The Substitute?
No, I've loved him.
Power perceived is power achieved.
I have loved him in every movie he's ever been in. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying if you're going to get all hoity-toity about things, because I could do a whole show about Congo. I love that movie.
All right. Okay, move on.
Moving on to Dolph and Arnold to give them back their due. They've both portrayed comic book heroes. Now, of course, Conan the Barbarian is the greatest sword and sorcery movie of all time, and that's Arnold. But it led to the embarrassing Conan the Destroyer, the incoherent Red Sonja, and the unwatchable TV series Conan the Adventurer, which did not star Arnold, but I mean, it was because of the Conan movies. Now, and then
I've never even heard of that show.
Of the Conan the.
I'm not aware of this.
You've never heard of Conan the Adventurer?
Yeah, the TV show.
It came out.
Heard of that.
You know when Hercules, that Kevin Sorbo Hercules show came out, and it was real popular.
Oh,
everybody
so this is a relatively
cranked
recent
out.
kind of
Yeah,
thing.
this was back in the 90s. Everyone was cranking out some kind of fantasy show, and they were all really awful. And Conan got his, they did a Sinbad show. They did a Beastmaster show. And Conan.
They did a Beastmaster show?
Oh, yeah. And it apparently went on for like 8 years. Like, I never watched it.
I've been in a coma for like the last 10 years, I think.
It's good that we're.
Or maybe I've just been outside.
I must have been playing sports and talking to girls or something. In the 1989 Punisher film, we have Dolph as the Punisher, but that movie was quickly buried, and when they revisited the character in 2004, they made a much better movie. Unfortunately for Dolph, they recast the part with Thomas Jane, who rose to popularity fighting super smart mako sharks and using his psychic powers to stop an alien ass monster from taking over the world. So this is a hard one to figure, but I guess it's Arnold because Conan, the first Conan, is a good movie.
Oh, yeah, man. It's got some great lines, too. I can't think of any good lines from the Punisher movie.
No. Unfortunately, Dolph did his best, but that wasn't a good movie.
Destroy your enemies.
Yeah.
See them driven before you.
Hear the lamentation of the women. Like, awesome.
That's good stuff.
That's total Arnold.
All I can remember about the Punisher movie was there something about a school bus. I can barely remember that movie
the
at all.
Yakuza is kidnapping all these mob bosses' kids to ransom them. It's so weird. And it's really bad.
Dolph definitely comes down.
Yeah.
As the lesser of in this.
Yeah, he doesn't even
beat
he doesn't even win the Punisher bout. So sorry, Dolph.
Yeah, and it's not his fault. I don't think. It's just he didn't get the opportunity on this one. That's true.
There's nothing at all wrong with his performance in the Punisher film. It's just a bad script and a bad movie. Nothing he can do about that. But on contrast to that, they have also both played wacky sci-fi supervillains in different movies. And Dolph, and I got to say, I can't quote very much about this because I hardly remember it. So when I say Dolph was forgettable as the street priest in Johnny Mnemonic, believe me, I can't even go into detail because I just remember he was in it. And because that whole movie was forgettable. But
yeah, I don't even know if I've seen that.
Oh, that was Canoe back when he wasn't even cool. It was pre-Matrix Canoe and it was post Bill and Ted Canoe. He was in that awkward phase before he'd found himself.
Is it anywhere around Point Break?
Point Break. Let's see. This would have been post Point Break for him.
I kind of remember. I remember seeing the picture, like the poster of it, because I worked in a video store. It's like a sci-fi future internet-y kind of weird thing.
Yeah. What do they call those? Not one of those cyber movies when everyone. Cyberpunk. That's what it was. And that was to me the predecessor of the Matrix. But everyone was into that, and they made a lot of bad movies that were trying to do that sort of future gone wrong sort of thing. And Canoe ended up in that. And just for the record, I know his name is Keanu. We've always called Canoe, and we always will. It comes from love. But I'll say the saving grace for Dolph in Johnny Mnemonic is that it wasn't nearly so bad as Arnold's turn in Batman and Robin. If only we were lucky enough to be able to forget that movie when he played Mr. Freeze. Oh my God.
That there were parts of that movie that looked like some kind of ice capades. I was like, what are we watching? Is this a performance of some kind?
I don't know. And it's all strangely homoerotic where they have like their special ice suits with the little lightning bolts and the silver on them, and they have like built-in skates and their little bat boots. And oh my God, that whole movie was just an utter travesty. If that movie did anything that made it great, is it destroyed the Batman franchise to the point where they decided to rebuild completely, and that's how we got Batman Begins.
And thank God, because I wasn't a big fan of that franchise anyway, and each movie got
progressively worse. Yeah, the first Batman movie was pretty good, but if you watch it now and compare it to Batman Begins, like Batman Begins slaps it around silly. Batman Begins, I think, is probably the greatest superhero movie of all time. But Batman and Robin, horrific. I was in the theater watching that one going, what is going on? I actually walked out to go get a Coke and almost didn't go back in. But
you got captivated by a video game that was sitting there, and it was more interesting to watch.
I mean, I committed. I paid my money, and I committed, and I saw it through to the bloody awful end. To the ice suit.
There was a guy sweeping the bathrooms, and you're like, this is more interesting. I think I'm going to watch this guy.
You need a hand with that? I don't have anything going on. So Dolph takes that one by default.
Yeah.
Because, like, Johnny Mnemonic is not a good movie, but we'll give you that I would much rather watch Johnny Mnemonic right now than Batman and Robin. Okay. Now, here's where we start getting into some fun stuff.
We're in trouble here, champ. There's more bad guys than we have bullets.
Take this.
What about you?
Don't worry about me.
Kenner, just in case we get killed, I wanted to tell you, you have the biggest dick I've ever seen on a man.
Thanks. I don't know what to say.
How about don't get killed?
Don't get killed.
You too.
In the roles of buddy cops, they've both had their moments. Arnold teamed up with Tom Arnold in True Lies, and he teamed up with Jim Belushi in Red Heat. so his buddy cop chops are pretty well established. Now, Dolph's had his moments too. He teamed up with Brandon Lee in Showdown in Little Tokyo and Brian Benben in I Come in Peace, both of which are movies I enjoy. I actually like both of those movies. So I call that a tie.
Yeah, none of those movies are not fun to watch. They're all
yeah,
good.
Everybody wins
For what
when it
they
comes
are.
to the buddy cops. Which I think if you watch it, like, that's what we were talking about before. Why do these big action guys always want to do stupid kids movies to make themselves more accessible? And this is the answer to that. Instead of doing like some kid movie to tone down your image, just do a buddy cop movie. Do a movie where you've got like a Tom Arnold or a Brian Benben cracking jokes while you're trying to be all tough. That's a good formula. That's what you do. You don't do a movie where you're trying to be all tough and you've got like a kid peeing on the floor or whatever, trying to make a cake.
I don't think Dolph doesn't really show off his muscles much in those movies, though, does he?
In the buddy cop movies?
I remember at the beginning of Red Heat, Arnold's like draped in a towel or something because he just came out of like a sauna and he's out in this big snow.
I think Showdown in Little Tokyo has a little naked Dolph in it. I think there's an exact parallel there because I think he's good. The whole thing is where he's all into Asian philosophy and all that stuff. So I think he has some running around naked in his paper house when they get attacked by ninjas or whatever. So they're
well, I hope
they're
so.
neck and neck. He covers up pretty well in I Come in Peace. I Come in Peace is also sort of his Predator when you think about it, because that's him fighting a big alien dude. But in Predator, it's like an alien drug dealer.
Do they say that in I Come in Peace? Do they say you leave in pieces?
Yeah, no, that was his big line at the end. And you go in pieces.
I come in peace. You go in pieces.
I got to give it to Arnold on this one, though. Arnold's one-liners are
king of the one-liners.
Part of what makes him awesome.
Dolph has never had a good one-liner.
I can't think of any good Dolphisms.
No. And to Dolph's credit, though, he doesn't try to do the one-liners. That's not his shtick. He's the big strong silent type guy.
I will destroy him.
You will lose.
That's not a very good line.
No, and that's the closest thing to a one-liner he's ever had. You will lose. I will break you.
To contend with Shizor.
To contend with Shizor is to lose. Man, there's a no prize in it for the fan listening that understands that reference.
Nerd alert. Nerd alert.
Nerd alert.
Yeah, that is a nerd alert. In fact, we're gonna back off immediately from having said that.
Yeah, that was a little too close to the edge.
Yeah, that was below the belt.
Tumbling over that precipice. All right. What's next? In
working with big-time action directors. Now, Arnold has worked with James Cameron several times. The Terminator films, True Lies. So they've got a long-time thing going on there. Dolph has worked with John Woo, but it was in a movie that was made for TV that not even I have seen, called Blackjack. And I saw about 20 minutes of it on USA one time and didn't really grab me. I'm sorry, Dolph, and sorry, John Woo. Anything where before...
I've never even heard of that.
After John Woo came to America, he kind of lost all of his action cred anyway, making Jean-Claude Van Damme movies and that Face-Off movie.
I know. What is
Face-Off was his Batman and Robin. Like, that movie made no sense.
Hollywood just corrupts people utterly, apparently.
It does, because all of John Woo's Hong Kong films were awesome. Like, he could do no wrong before he came to America. And as soon as he got here, he's made crap. Why doesn't he get together with Chow Yun-Fat and make some movies? They're both here now. Because Chow Yun-Fat has made good movies since he came to America, but I'm sure he could find time for John Woo.
So has he worked with any other action directors?
I can't think of anybody big
on par with James
that Dolph
Cameron?
has worked with since. John Woo is the only big, action auteur I can think of that Dolph has worked with.
We're going to have to go with Arnold on this one then.
Yeah, it's got to be Arnold. A fading John Woo
say
just
what you
doesn't.
will about James Cameron, but
Well, see,
I'd
the thing
rather
is,
work with him than nobody.
He worked with James Cameron when James Cameron was in his prime, as opposed to working with him now. And Dolph worked with John Woo when he was already on the way out. So now, if you worked with Woo in his prime, like Dolph, if you were in The Killer, even a better tomorrow. But I can't give you a made-for-TV movie that John Woo made here before he got his big break in American cinema.
Have we been keeping score? We should be keeping score.
I can tally it.
I think
All right,
so far,
let me tally
he's only come up one.
Yeah, as Killer Cyborgs, it went to Arnold. As Mythic Heroes, it went to Dolph. As Comic Book Heroes, it went to Arnold. But as wacky sci-fi supervillains, it went to Dolph.
Ooh,
As
is it
buddy
tied?
cops, it was a tie. And now Arnold has broken the tie by working with the better action director.
It's a lot closer than I thought it would be.
Yeah, so this is the final
Neck and
category
neck.
too. So Dolph can tie it
Ooh,
all up,
this is the deal breaker.
or he's going to lose it outright on this next one. And this next one, in my opinion, could go either way because it's all about going toe to toe. Who goes toe-to-toe better? Dolph fought a demon to stop the apocalypse in the Minion. He fought 007, even though it was an aging Roger Moore in A View to a Kill. And he boxed Sylvester Stallone in Rocky IV. He also killed Apollo Creed. So he's pretty good.
Well, there's something to be said for that.
We already mentioned he fought an interstellar drug dealer in I Come in Peace. And he fought the entire Yakuza, whether the movie gets swept under the rug or not. In The Punisher, he fought, the entire Japanese mafia. So he's got some credits to his name. Now, Arnold fought an alien predator. He also killed an entire South American army of guerrillas in Commando. He beat up the devil himself in End of Days.
And I will add in Commando a perfectly good G.I. Joe villain.
Yeah, who looked like on MST3K they called him like a steroid souped up Freddie Mercury.
Yeah, with the mustache.
Yeah, the hair,
no doubt.
The Freddie Mercury hair, mustache, and the chainmail shirt. He looked like one of the Dreadnoks.
Chainmail sleeveless shirt with the knife. That is a G.I. Joe villain if I've ever seen one.
I know. John, I'll be waiting, John. That guy. We should let
and
that
the
guy
Australian
up. That
accent to boot.
Yeah, total Dreadnok.
All right. So what? I'm sorry.
He also beat up the devil himself in End of Days, which was also to stop the apocalypse. And he did something Dolph has never done, which is he beat himself up in The Sixth Day.
Yeah, he beat up Arnold, and that's
Arnold
tough.
has taken Arnold. So that's, I don't know. We might just, I don't know if we should even call this one or not.
Oh, I don't know, man, because Predator is one of my favorites. But
And he
you
did-
can't discount Rocky IV. I mean, that's a huge role.
That's true. And
That's except for Apollo and I guess Mr. T or whatever. That's like the biggest Rocky villain.
oh yeah, if you look at his IMDb, it's like every Rocky movie that's followed that one, he flashes back to getting the crap kicked out of him by Dolph. That's the one where he got all the brain damage from. Like he actually smashed Rocky's brain to pudding. So that's pretty good.
But Predator, man, I don't know. Because who did he fight in what alien kind of monster did he? I Come in Pieces or?
It was a big dude.
I Come in Pieces.
I don't know if it was
Yeah, but
bigger than the Predator, but it was a big alien thing.
I just don't think it's as cool as Predator though. So this is a tough call.
Yeah, because really, if you ask me, as far as the credits are concerned for being tough, it's about the same. It's really just coming down to the amount of money that went into it. It's like Dolph, he's not gonna fight Gabriel Byrne as Satan. They don't have that kind of money, so he fights some kind of low grade demon trying to start a nuclear war or something. But he's still saving the world from an apocalypse caused by demons.
Yeah, well, they've both saved us from apocalypse. I mean, we
Yeah.
owe them a huge debt of gratitude.
Where would we
if you think
be
about
without
it.
Dolph and Arnold? Maybe we shouldn't even declare a winner. Maybe it's time the two of these cats got together.
I really think
that's
that
what I'd like to see.
If you want a good versus movie, I'd like to see a versus movie with these two guys. I think it's a tie. Because if this is the thing that would make them tie or not, I'm going to give it a tie.
And in my opinion, that sort of ties them up anyway, because I don't think it's fair to blame Dolph for the fact that he's never worked with a big action director. That's not all his doing, because Arnold started working with James Cameron before either one of them were famous. So
And there's only so much room in Hollywood for the big muscle guy,
yeah,
So
he's still working for a living. It's like he's not a Johnny Drama, but it's the same situation. It's like he's never
it's
stopped
not
working.
like there's like 5 or 6 main huge big time directors in Hollywood looking for a muscle guy and like, oh, we can't get Arnold, oh, let's get Dolph and make a huge movie with. No, there's usually only one big action movie a year.
Like
and
that.
at that time, and they'd go to Arnold. That's who they'd go to, and whatever was left would go to Dolph.
And you can blame
Or
Bruce Willis ruined it for everybody, because then everybody
maybe
wanted like
Stallone.
an average everyman kind of action hero instead of just a giant muscle guy.
Yeah, they'd go to Bruce Willis or something like that.
Or they do everything with all this special effects. So it's like, oh, Drew Barrymore's a big action star now, so it doesn't matter because we do everything with special effects anyway. We don't need a big.
No, now they get Mila whenever they want action.
I know, she's an action hero. It's like I could take her down with one punch. Kidding me?
I would never do that though. If you're listening, Mila.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
All right then, I'm gonna call it a tie. If you guys out there listening have a strong opinion about this, go ahead and email it to us, feedback@tv8mydinner.com. If it's interesting, we'll read it.
Yeah, maybe we left out some good Dolph points that could have been mentioned.
Yeah, if you've got a really strong argument about why Dolph is, something we've left out,
yeah,
clue us in.
Stand up, Dolphins. We've been in the shadows too long. It's time for America to stand up and say, you know what? I like Dolph Lundgren. I don't even care what you think.
Maybe we can start like a write-in campaign and get him to be a governor somewhere.
Yeah.
Because Arnold is definitely winning in that category.
Yeah, there's a whole different. You're talking about the 47 conspiracy in that one episode. I was thinking it's more like the 87 conspiracy when it comes to politics. It's like all these guys who were in Predator just started coming into power. Predator came out in 1987. It seemed like a harmless enough movie, but everyone involved in it is slowly taking over America.
Well, and good thing.
Yeah.
Because when Predator comes back, I want people in charge that know how to deal with it.
Yeah. I think it is a message to outer space when Predator comes back and they're like, wait a second, what? President Schwarzenegger? That guy's in charge now? We're moving on.
No, thank you.
Yeah. Let's go back to Alpha Centauri.
Danny Glover is vice president?
These guys are crazy. Yeah, exactly. Dolph Lundgren's the Secretary of Defense.
I can't stand Predator 2.
I actually like Predator 2. You know what I like?
Oh.
I like it because it takes place in the city. I like it because...
Well, which is awesome idea.
Well, I like the idea that in the end, he's chasing the Predator. And it's much more involved.
I think it's casting that really made me really angry about that.
You don't like Danny Glover?
Because I don't buy for a minute. I love Danny Glover, but I don't buy for a minute that he's going to fight a Predator. Not even for a second. Arnold, in his prime, got stomped by a Predator. And you're telling me Danny Glover, I'm too old, Riggs. I'm getting too old.
That's true. And
he's going to fight an army of these guys? An army of Predators.
Well, he only fights the one.
Too old for this, Riggs. I just don't buy that. That was the worst casting. I'm going to go ahead and put a vote in as that being the worst casting choice ever made in Hollywood. And if you can argue with that, go ahead.
Well, I wouldn't call it
Email
worst
me. Let me know.
Ever.
What's worse? Find a worse one for me. I'm curious.
How about Arnold as Mr. Freeze?
Oh, but see, that was just a bad movie. That character, if someone else had played it, it wouldn't have made any difference.
I guess that's
But
true.
in this particular instance, if Dolph had played this character, I'd have bought it. I'd be like, this guy could fight a Predator. I'll buy that.
And why can't you do a Predator 2 with Dolph? Wouldn't that have been awesome?
Yeah, man, Dolph got screwed
now,
here.
I support
All right,
you
Dolphins,
in this way.
Let's stand up.
How come they can't? In fact, why can't they just make a Predator 3 right now with Dolph?
They made like 5 Terminators.
I know, and who even cares
and
about
they
that?
used other people for that.
They made a Predator versus aliens. How about a Predator versus I Come in Peace?
Yeah. What? I think we should just start making versus movies left and right. I didn't like Alien versus Predator, but I did love Jason versus Freddy. I loved it.
Alien versus Predator didn't have that charm. See, Jason versus Freddy, or Freddy versus Jason, whatever. But it was fun because they weren't trying to be cheesy, but they did take it at what it was. They tried to make it a fun, movie-going experience. And I'm so tired of these pretentious horror movies, and I'm so tired of horror movies that are trying so hard to be hardcore that they've lost that sense that it should be fun. Horror movies are fun, the whole roller coaster ride. And
they're supposed to make you scream in a theater, You're supposed to have girls all around you screaming.
Yeah, and then somebody makes a joke, and then it's
I saw
funny.
that in the theater, and sure enough, the scene where the kid's like wakes up with his friend or his dad, whoever next to him, and then his dad's head just falls off into his lap. And all the girls in the theater are like, ah! It's like, no, this is what you want to go to a horror movie for.
Exactly, but you take a chick to see a movie where the girls all get raped and tortured and killed, and then, you're not getting any action there.
Doesn't really put her in the mood, surprisingly.
Thanks for...
You start doing that little arm stretchy thing where you stretch your arm around her, and she's like, get away from me, psycho!
You defiler! Thanks a lot, movies. Thanks for making my girlfriend think about things. Appreciate that.
But I think we should... I'm encouraging you, Hollywood, if you're listening, to keep up with this versus trend. I know it's probably the bottom of the barrel in terms of like movie making, and anyone with any pretension at all that's listening to us right now, it's probably going to vomit into a bucket right now.
Good. If you've made it through this whole episode already, then you can deal with this.
But man, I am all about versus movies, just like the old Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla or whatever. That's just put versus in the title, and I'm there. I'm in the theater because you know what you're getting into. You're going to see a fight. Well, we have run our our race.
We've made our case, and hopefully that you will see the wisdom of our words. Okay.
So let us know.
I don't know what else
Dolph
to say
versus
after
Arnold.
that point.
See where you're falling down on this. Thanks for listening. Check out www.tv8mydinner.com for future episodes and past episodes. You can also subscribe to us through iTunes. Just search for us on their little iTunes store,
which would be much appreciated.
We have a MySpace page now.
Yeah, you can become friends.
You
can make friends with TV Ate My Dinner now. That's just myspace.com/TV Ate My Dinner, and that's our MySpace.
While you're at it, out surfing the web, because you're checking out all of our wonderful 15 different TV Ate My Dinner sites.
You can't get enough.
Check out darkcrazy.com. That's Sean's publishing site. You can submit fiction and poetry and artwork and photography and all kinds of nonsense
and whatever.
to that. And like we've said, feedback at tv8mydinner.com if you want to email us with show suggestions and stuff like that.
We'll more than welcome any of your comments.
Topic suggestions are welcome, because I'd love to have some people give us some ideas of things they'd want to hear us go off about.
Steer us in a direction, or this is the type of stuff you're going to be hearing.
Yeah, if you can't think of anything better, we're going to keep talking about this
Dolph Lundgren and stuff, and Smurfs.
Well, thanks for listening. My name's Brooks.
And I'm Sean.
And we'll see you next week.
I still talk to God sometimes. I ask him if what I'm doing is right or wrong. I'm still waiting for an answer. And until I get one, I'll be out here, waiting, watching. The guilty will be punished.
DogCrazy.com